One of the characteristics of our whole society is people isolated from one another. They're cut off. And the homeless population is just an extreme example of this. Pope Francis calls these the invisible ones. Part of what we recognized was the need to actually make the invisible visible, so that they could be objects of love and objects of transformation for us. Everyone recognizes that John Paul II's visit to Denver was extraordinary. I came to Denver after he had been here, and people kept saying, John Paul, he changed everything here. So in a certain way, it was the perfect place to start Christ in the city.
We are in Denver. Denver, Colorado.
We thought, let's have young people who have an integrated vision of what it means to live a Catholic life, radically dedicated to caring for those in need and radically dedicated to spreading the good news of Jesus Christ. When Archbishop Chaput said, I believe in this vision, I think the church needs this vision, that says to the Catholic community in Denver that the Archbishop's behind it. That opens so many doors for us.
It's not about an ideology, it's not about something political, it is just very simply bringing the presence of Christ and the love of Christ to those who most need it.
And so we had this vision, but we needed help. And the Lord provided the right people. The thing I most remember from when I first met Mark Baumann was the long ride up this elevator into this executive of a major global corporation's office, walking into an office larger than I'd ever been in before. And what we found there was not what you'd picture as a corporate executive. I met a humble man who was serious about his faith and a real generous man. And that was the beginning of a friendship that I value as highly as any friendship in my life. I had a partner in launching this.
He came to my wife and I, and he asked us if we would be willing to fund the start of this program. As challenges arose, I would try to be available to help, and that could be anything from changing light bulbs or fixing things that were broken to just hanging out with the missionaries. And when we started it, we had no idea what it could become. And I think because we were blessed to have Yvonne leading Christ in the city, I think it grew in a very, very organic way that opened itself up to becoming what it is today.
Jonathan Reyes was one of my first teachers, and within one of the first classes, he talked about the vision of Christ in the city.
She'll still joke that I didn't know her name at that time, and she just says, Dr. Reyes, I want to do that. And when I said to her, okay, you start it, her response wasn't to laugh, it was just, okay, we will. And she did.
At that point, we needed some very courageous people to test it out.
We're doing something that virtually nobody else does. There's a number of places for the homeless to go to sleep in town. There's places for them to go get food, but there's no place in town that sends people out to just encounter them.
You know, encounter is one of the most important words in our whole movement. There are certain people who are described, John Paul II, Mother Teresa, would be described as the kind of person when you're in a conversation with them, it's like you're the only person in the universe. This is kind of what we mean by encounter. Well, these are immortal beings with a destiny that will outlast the entire universe. And part of our goal is to have that gift that John Paul II had, that Mother Teresa had, of making the other person feel the fullness of their dignity, that they're the only person in the universe and that they're the most important thing in the universe at a given moment. These are young people who have made heroic decisions for Christ. Or to use Benedict XVI's phrase, they've been conquered by love. I'm proud of them because they're going to do way more than just what they did in the year they were here. They're actually transforming the world everywhere they go. As people see them and say, what's different about you? Why are you not anxious when the rest of the world is anxious? Why are you not inclined to hatred when the rest of the world is condemning one another? Once people ask that question and our missionaries have a chance of answering it, that's a transformative moment. Because we've given ourselves in love to those most in need. And it hasn't produced bitterness in us. It hasn't made us hate poverty. It's made us love those who are poor. Our goal isn't that just these missionaries go do this. Part of our hope of Christ in the City is that everyone who encounters us also feels this challenge.
It's gotten people out of the pews and onto the street to encounter their fellow man. People who come down and spend time with Christ in the City, it has opened up a new avenue for them to actually live the gospel. All the missionaries who have given their yes have made a massive impact in Denver and far beyond.
And whether it be on the West Coast or the East Coast, bishops have contacted me and asked me, can someone come and train our people? Can someone work with our young people? It has spread and is bearing fruit. And anything that is of Christ will bear fruit.
There isn't a person in the world who knows Jesus Christ who isn't obliged to themselves look for an opportunity for encounter. My hope for our movement is that people who get to know us, people who come across us, they themselves feel inspired, whether we know it or not, to say, you know what, I'm going to pay attention to that person I walk by every day. I'm going to engage my child, my spouse, that stranger, my coworker, with a genuine encounter, because that is transformative. If we can inspire more and more people to do that, that too is going to change the world.